Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another Tuesday Night Live. I am Jeff Dunn, your illustrious host. Not really. And I'm joined here by, as always, by Mr. Ken Carson and our lovely ladies, Mr. Mike Becker and Chris Bacon, who's back after a long hiatus of watching hockey and blowing us off.
Yeah, he doesn't have his priorities straight.
Well, or he does.
You're just lucky there's no game tonight for the Hurricanes.
Yeah, we're lucky because we win the prize of you.
Yeah, you do.
I missed you, buddy.
Oh, yeah.
I missed you too, Becker.
Aw, all the love in the world. Thank you guys for sticking with us on these Tuesday nights. Sorry we were not here last week. And last week was like the perfect night to have a show since I know Mr. Bill Cox was sick. So you guys must have felt so lonely last Tuesday when there was no 4C show. There was no Comic Art Live show. But yeah, Ken was driving and traveling. I had to go out of town and there was no way we could make it happen. But we're back tonight and we've got an incredible guest for you, an incredible guest who's been on a handful of times before, but the illustrious Mr. Mike DeCarlo. Boom. Look at that. That was perfect timing. You like that?
Yay.
It was luck.
That's me, all right.
It is. It is you. How are you doing, Mike?
You are a Hurricane fan?
Oh, yeah.
Is that the one who kicked the crap out of the Islanders yesterday?
Yep, sure is.
Rallying from 3-0 down.
Sure is.
An impressive win.
Yes, thank you.
Win. There you go. See, I
can't. We can't talk about hockey anymore. I'm literally watching people just leave the show right now as we keep talking.
We could talk about the Knicks. There's a lot of Knicks fans.
We can talk about Annika's here.
Sorry, I'm late.
Hi.
Hey, Mike, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Good.
Wow, this is feeling like a Brady Bunch thing going on. We just need a few more people to come in. This is great.
Yeah, really.
But yeah, Mike's here tonight. He's going to be offering up some sketches, guys. We're going to do a couple different options and we'll throw up this, of course, first. Yeah, we are a live claim sketch show. For anybody who is new to the show, what we do is when we put up a banner, it'll say something along the line of claim Mike DeCarlo. And what we'll do when that happens is you'll type the word claim into the chat. If we get 3 or less claims, we will take the first claim. If we get more than 3 claims, we take the first 5 claims we see and we put them in a wheel spin to make it fair. We want to make sure the people with the fastest internet don't always get the sketches. This is the only fair way we can do it so that everybody gets a shot. And if you've never bought from us before, please, if you do win the claim, you can go ahead and email us at 4ccomicart@gmail.com, or you can message Chris Bacon or Ken Carson on Messenger, and they will get your information in there and send you a wonderful PayPal invoice. And included in the prices we're going to show you in a second is, Becker?
Well, I wanted to tell you about what my grandma always told me. 4% processing, $25 shipping. She said.
That was Becker's avatar.
Is my shirt going to be ready for Philly, Ken?
What shirt?
He wants that as a shirt.
I forgot all about that.
Comic Journey. Welcome to the show, buddy. Thank you for catching us live. I'm glad you were finally able to. So we're offering $75 head sketches tonight and $100 bus. And just get ready for, there it is. And the claim banner is up. So if anybody'd like to claim one of those, remember, Mike DeCarlo can draw anything. He's a very accomplished artist. He's doing some wonderful recreations for us to be picked up at Philly, which is the week after next. We're going to see him live. Bacon's going to be there. Ken's going to be there. Ken and I are getting ready to go to C2E2 this weekend, which will be fun. Which we're just, it's trying to get this stuff ready is craziness. Oh, so wait, is there another person joining us? I can't see it below the claim, but it's Craig, and I know which Craig this is. Do you guys know which Craig this is? His screen's frozen, I think, or else nope, there he is. Ladies and gentlemen, me. Craig Hamilton has joined the show. How are you doing, buddy?
Awesome.
Wonderful. If anybody is not following Craig Hamilton on Facebook, you should, and all of the social medias. He has just posted up the most incredible piece that forced our illustrious leader to jump in line and say, "I'm next." So Ken jumped in and said, "Nope, no more anybody else getting something in another piece before I get one."
Yeah, right. Exactly. Enough of this.
Yeah.
Hey,
Jonathan,
Mike, how are you doing?
Were you talking to me? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
hold on.
Yeah.
We got a claim. We got a banner on your face there, Craig. Hold on.
How are you? I'm doing fine.
Very well.
Thank you. Recovering from some elbow surgery, but I'm well
Oh, my
along.
goodness.
No, that's all right. I should have been a major league pitcher because I had the ulnar nerve surgery, but I'm fine now. The burning I've lived with for years is finally gone. So
Nice.
praise the Lord. Praise the Lord.
Yeah, oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Is this just injury or something that came from working?
Well, it's wear and tear from years of throwing the frisbee too much, playing the drums too much, and all kinds of other idiotic things that I did. So I paid the
Lifting
price.
beer cans?
Lifting, well, yeah, shots of tequila probably.
They're not very heavy, but they, when you start really going, it's the multiple.
Yes, when you get to the 14th one, it starts to wear on you. But I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding. So, yeah, I'm probably doing something for myself I shouldn't be doing, but I think the thing that Ken is very aware of now is I'm doing a lot of watercolor stuff. I'm coloring my artwork as well as just penciling and inking it. That's something I put aside for many years doing comics, but I did study a lot of painting and watercolor in college way back in the 70s. And I wanted to resurrect doing that. And I know Ken has some watercolor samples and stuff that maybe he could show people.
Oh yeah.
I'm working on that right now.
Yep. And then we'll see if we can pop up that piece that Craig did recently, which just blew me away. Oh, and this sorry, 1 second, Craig. So this is so Jonathan would love for you, Mike, to do a bust of Guyver 1, or if you prefer Scarlet Spider. A lot of people aren't familiar with Guyver, so he likes to give people options. So that's what
it's really. I know Craig will understand this. It's immaterial who we're asked to draw. Really, it's I don't know. Maybe you don't feel that way, but I do. I don't really care what people want. Drawing is drawing, and thanks to Google Images, you can find anything you want. So
there you go.
I love that attitude, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, what's the difference?
Yeah, I drew Razorback last year, and I couldn't be happier.
Oh, that was an awesome one too. Yeah.
That's a character I never have left to my own devices. I never would have gotten around to that one.
Well, I like, I'm kind of known for Batman and stuff, but I'm just always happy to do anything different because I like new challenges. Hey, who did that? He's pretty good. Oh, that's
yeah. So these are one of these watercolor pieces that Mike's done.
Ooh, guess who that is?
I think maybe Chris Bacon has this one. I don't know.
It ain't for sale. No, it's mine.
Look at this.
That was a Ken Carson suggestion.
Ken loves his Herb Trimpe Wolverine and Hulk stuff. So,
well, Mike was doing those cover recreations and watercolor, and then he did the Mary Jane. I said, you might have something here, picking out a single panel to recreate.
Mm-hmm.
I said, like the first appearance of Wolverine, something like that. I said, those single panels that, introduce a new character or something, poignant like that in books. So he went and did that, and I thought it was amazing. And we were talking about Craig is back now. This is the piece that Craig did for a woman, and I hate it.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Just quite impressive. Very impressive.
All done. And all of that you see, guys, is either the absence of pencil or pencil, and it's all done on, it's just gorgeous. Everything in prism color pencils, and the shading and all of that is just, it's amazing.
Notice how he made that rose stand out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a poppy.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well,
Oh, no. I
notice
just,
how he made that stand out.
a
Pretty much
poppy
everything.
is so much more appropriate for the Sandman.
Yeah, no, you're right. But it was almost all monochromatic, but then he's got that green and red, and it's just
Oh, yeah.
pops out like you can't believe. So
Yeah, beautiful blue background too. Just
wonderful,
gorgeous.
wonderful.
I took shots of that all along through the process. So those are being compiled into a video.
Very nice.
So you see the whole progression, and you can
Mhm.
really see where the paper ends up in the final drawing. And I really loved the version that was just the indigo blue and the white with no color. And I'm glad, I got good pictures of that in the progress.
Oh yeah.
But I knew that cobalt blue and that red poppy were gonna make it
Really?
sing.
Very,
Mhm.
very, very, very nice. I like that piece very much.
Oh yeah.
I'm very pleased with it. Had a wonderful client who approached me through 4C. I love chatting with my clients. Some clients aren't chatty. I respect that, but some are. And Ahu and I just hit it off right from the beginning, and enjoyed our conversations the whole time I was working on that. We were so on the same page. When she told me what she wanted, I saw it in my head instantly.
I think artists are missing something when they don't enjoy the social aspect of what we do. I really like going to shows and conventions because I honestly like interacting with the people who come to our booth. I'm not. I don't like to be reticent and inside of myself when I'm around other people who are trying to enjoy what we do for a living. It means a lot to them, and it means a lot when we engage them. And it's something I try to do. I try to make people feel really welcome and engaged when they come. They take the time to come to see me. I want it to mean something to them. So,
Oh yeah, me too. Me too. And I've made some great friends through all of
absolutely,
this over the years. And
absolutely.
it's, when somebody asks me to draw something for them, I really want to kind of get in their head and see what they want and make it a dream come true for them when the piece is finished.
When you actually do it, you can't quite understand what it means to somebody who comes to you to engage you. It means something that you can't understand. And if you try to understand it, it really makes you feel good that you're bringing a real degree of joy to people when you use your skill for them. And that's very, I find that very rewarding. I mean, I'm sure if I met a really famous musician who I've loved for years, I'm sure I would kind of feel that way. But
Or a football player, Mike, maybe.
Or a football player named Pepper Johnson, right? That was funny.
It's funny that you guys talked about that because I've met a lot of artists who will not take art direction. You even try to suggest just a little thing. They're like, I don't take art direction. Like, okay. And I actually talked to Craig last night about something that I had in my mind's eye. And, I think I started out with, are you okay with art direction? And he was like, yeah, of course. Like, okay. Because, I wanted to explain exactly what I was thinking and what I wanted him to,
well, if somebody's paying money, good money for something, why don't you want to pick their brain for exactly what they're looking for? Why should your ego interfere with what's going to make somebody else happy? That's the way I look at it. My job as an artist is to do something, that I'm pleased with, but it's to make somebody happy with what I do. I mean, that's kind of how I look at it, really. I don't mean to speak for all artists by saying that, but that's how I feel anyway.
Oh yeah, when I have a client that I'm able to chat with, and and I feel like I'm on the same page with them, and knowing what they want and all of that, that makes the joy for me in the act of creation
Absolutely.
even better.
Yeah, we can't draw in vacuums. We really can't. People say to me, well, if you're not really, really happy with the drawing, if it didn't make you happy, then, what's the sense of it? And I say, I can't draw in a vacuum. I want to be pleased with my effort. I want to use all my skills. But if I do something and the client is not happy with it, then what does that say? Did I just draw it for myself, which is really what I shouldn't have been doing. If you want to draw something for yourself, draw it for yourself. If it's for somebody else, your job kind of is to make them happy and not to, not to worry about how it necessarily pleases you or affects you. Because I don't know, it seems to be counterintuitive, really. But anyway, I'm talking too much, which I always do. I always talk too much. Craig, forgive me. I'm a blabber.
I'm on here with you. I talk too much as well.
Listen, you guys go. Listen, you guys. We love to hear you guys talking. You're telling stories and you're talking off. Listen, we're just over here listening. You make our job easier when you guys have great conversations.
We don't want to do that. Start talking, you fellas here. Stop
I was
being
about to start
waiting.
taking a nap. This is going to be the easiest show yet.
Thanks.
We got two great artists here just having a conversation, and I think people would love to watch it.
Yeah, absolutely. So did you have you Googled the character yet, Mike? Did you decide if you're going to do Guyver 1 or if you're going to do?
Well, I would actually, going back to what I was just saying, I would prefer the client just tells me which one they want.
Well, Guyver 1 is his preference.
Then that's who we do.
There you go. So, yep, he wants to get a bust of Guyver 1. So that is his choice.
I have no friggin' idea who it is, but that doesn't matter.
That's what Google's for. Oh, we lost Craig again. Sorry, Craig's out. Craig's down there in Georgia, and sometimes his internet is a little wonky.
The internet
I delivered that earlier, Marcus.
Yeah, you missed it, or you weren't listening. And we were talking about Pepper Johnson earlier because we did Ken and I did a wonderful interview with former Giants linebacker, and he was also the coach for the New England Patriots for 3 Super Bowl wins and won 2 Super Bowls as a player with the Giants. And it was a kind of a dream come true for Mike to be able to talk to him. And Mike knew his stuff, and he basically just had. It was so funny to watch. Well, I want to say not funny, but it was fun to watch Mike just go in and talk to Pepper about every single thing that from his youth, from being a diehard Giants fan growing up and all that stuff. And it was such a wonderful chance to be on that interview with that. I mean, I feel like Mike almost interviewed Pepper and just great.
I am a great. Well, I like sports in general very much, but see, I'm actually a bit older than Pepper, so right. I remember when he just came up. I was 5 or 6 years older than him easily. So he was a hell of a ball player. I mean, I know Ken, I'm sure, knows that, but I mean, that was a perennial all-star player. I mean, big time player. So I appreciated meeting him very much. So anyway,
funny. Pepper only made the Pro Bowl when he was with Cleveland.
Oh, he didn't make it with the Giants.
Wow. Because
well, look at all the guys ahead of him on the Giants.
Exactly.
Lawrence
Taylor, Lawrence went every year, and that was kind of the thing, And
Craig, you're in Oregon, I heard.
No, he's in Macon, Georgia.
Macon, Georgia. Yeah.
Georgia. Okay.
Where in the world did you hear I was in Oregon?
I thought somebody said Oregon. I don't know. Macon, Georgia. Okay. Is that where you're from, or you're just living there now?
No, it's my hometown.
You don't have a Georgia. You're not a Georgia peach when you talk. You lost your accent.
Oh, you haven't heard of that. He has it. He's got that draw.
He controls.
It comes out more when I'm like in New York.
Listen,
No.
every time I talk to Greg, I feel like I'm watching the movie Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. It's glorious.
It can be like that sometimes.
Oh.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
I caught that. Anyway, well,
Well, one thing I would do want to show people, if anybody's going to Philly, and even if you're not going to Philly, if you guys want to claim any of this stuff tonight, I can bring it with me to Philadelphia. So first thing I have Omega Men #1. This is an original print from the first issue of Omega Men, which Mike inked. So I have a lot of copies of this. They're in great. I picked them up. I picked up like 70 copies of this. They're all in beautiful condition for a book that came out. How many years ago, Mike? No, don't say it.
it's at least 41 years ago.
Yeah, so I have those. I also have some of the facsimile editions. So this is the reprint that they did where Robin lives. So for those of you who haven't seen this, they actually reprinted the Batman issue where Robin gets killed by the Joker. That was a fan vote. And they reprinted the pages where he lives instead. So this just came out. So I have the regular edition. I also have a foil edition.
Ooh.
And I also have a reprint that they did of Omega Men #4, which is, or 3. Is this 3 or 4? So 3. This is the first appearance of Lobo that Mike also inked. So this is not an original, it's a facsimile edition. So I have those. And I also have a foil version of that.
Wow.
And then last but not least, if anybody wants to sketch by Mike, I do have the Robin Lives blanks.
Wow, yeah, we've been seeing Mike doing some great stuff on those blanks.
Yeah, you have a fair amount of samples that I've done. I don't know if you have them handy, but
Yeah, I actually have some. I have one loaded up here to show everybody. This would be one of the pieces that Mike has done recently. One of those Batman blanks.
yeah, somebody wanted a turnabout is fair play. They wanted Robin to be the winner of that encounter. I don't know about you, Craig, but I was fortunate enough, mainly during the 80s, to have been on a ridiculous amount of first issues. I don't know if you I think it was mostly pure luck, I think, on my part, but first issues or iconic issues like Robin dying. I don't know. Were you? Do you see the '80s as the last of that true golden era of comics, or do you not?
Absolutely. I'm so lucky that I got into comics. It was 1983, the end of '83, when I got the job to draw Aquaman. Or no, not '83. It was later than that, but it was the mid '80s when I started making my contacts. And when did I get the Aquaman job? Must have been 84, 85, probably 84. And Dick Giordano was my first editor. And you're just, when you were a kid like me, you're walking into the DC offices and you're just starstruck and our editors were working artists.
Yes,
that you had so much respect for them, and they knew what they were doing. They were great about taking young talent under their wing and helping train,
giving it time.
Yeah, Dick Giordano was just spectacular. He set me up with a whole 2-hour afternoon with Joe Kubert one-on-one.
Wow.
Yeah. And I had Joe Orlando take interest in my art and insist on coloring the Aquaman series. It just doesn't get better than that. And we've seen so many changes in the industry and editors who demand respect, but I don't even know who you are. Whereas somebody like Joe and Dick, you had respect when you walked into their presence. So anything they said to you as an editor hit home.
you hesitate to talk about certain periods in the past because you sound like one of those typical old guys. Oh, everything was better at one point. And I try so hard to be more open-minded, but the 80s was an extraordinary time in comics. And a lot of it was by 1992 and 3, you had the internet and the proclivity of video games. And, you know, young 8, 9, 10, 12-year-old kids were just not going to be into the print media like they were before. I don't want it to discredit it or put it down. It's just the way it was. By the mid 90s, the shift had changed. Everybody I knew, Craig, maybe you say the same thing. Everybody I knew when I was a kid collect comics. Everybody collected comics. You weren't necessarily. Everybody wasn't obsessed with comics like I certainly was, but everybody had comics, and that just faded. And I don't know. Should I be sad about it? I guess not. I mean, I was fortunate enough to be in that time frame. And as Craig attested, the 80s were just, you had these incredible editors. They were still vibrant. They were still working. They had such an oeuvre of what they had done. It just was, Dick Giordano, I trained under him. He was, I was his apprentice for a year and a half. We
thank you, Jeff. Jeff's holding up a drawing that Dick Giordano did, a Batman drawing by Dick Giordano, and then it was a few years ago he asked me to ink it, and I was so thrilled and touched to be able to do that. Nice,
beautiful.
Yeah.
What a patient.
Another phenomenon that I noticed in the 80s, around the time that I got hired. Prior to that, you pretty much had to move to Manhattan if you were going to work for them.
Yeah.
And in the 80s, we had fax machines and FedEx. So that technology helped diversify the voices you saw in mainstream comics.
Yeah, you got a lot of the Midwest people like Jerry Ordway and why am I drawing a blank? The Superman fellow.
Dan Jurgens.
Dan Jurgens. And I know Bob Smith came all the way from Washington State. And, yeah, you're right. You didn't have to live in Connecticut or New Jersey or New York. You could come from anywhere, which was nice.
Right. And you saw a lot more diversity in the books. And you had regional voices, I know in the South, we have, during that time, the late 80s, the emergence of Gaijin Studio and Jolly Roger Studio, which is Tony Harris's thing here in Macon. And he and Ray Snyder and I sort of had our little Macon thing going on. And of course, the guys in Atlanta had the phenomenal Gaijin Studio going on. And I was thrilled that a bunch of Southerners were making an impact in the world of comics. And I think as Southerners are natural storytellers and artistic Southerners are great comic book artists. I think we have an attention to detail and flavor and character in the nature of our storytelling as Southerners that comes out in our art.
And they're masters of musical storytelling too. Some of the greatest musicians of the last 60 or 70 years come from the South. So,
oh yeah, well, Macon's the home of Little Richard and the Allman Brothers, so we pretty much covered everything.
Unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, not everybody had to look like Jack Kirby or Kurt Swan in the 80s. You had a lot of diversity. You had the Frank Millers, you had the beginnings of Todd McFarlane. Things are changing, and they were finding these new looks were bringing in a whole new group of readers. It was really an explosion explosive decade. Just, I don't think we'll ever see that again in comics where.
No, I don't think we will either. You know, and it's sad. I do grieve the loss of that. But one thing I'm discovering now, I've been teaching for the past several years and helped founded an art school, and just it's a passion in my life. And I get to teach the way that I learned, which is very much in a mentor apprentice situation. And I have 3 students now working on graphic novels.
Wow.
And so I'm their editor, straw boss. I try to be everything that my art teacher Hauser was for me when I was young. And on top of that, everything, all of these great editors that I've worked with over the years, you know, I took notes the whole time, and I try to be a great editor.
Did you have a Bachelor of Arts? Did you graduate college?
No, I dropped out of art school to get a job in comics.
So you were able to, because I love to teach, and I've had some pretty good apprentices, like Ron Garney was at one time.
Oh, yeah. I had no idea.
Yeah, Howard Porter, a few of them. Was it just capital and then exposure that got a school started and you built it slowly? Because I would love to teach. I really would. But
you know, I sort of reluctantly went into it. I've taught a few times in the past, doing my own little private classes, just following the model that Hauser Smith, my art teacher, used. And then a friend of mine, a fellow artist here in town, was teaching and asked me to come join her. She actually had a couple of students that she thought I would really connect with, and she was right. And so last year we've had a couple since the pandemic. We had a big slowdown, but we've built our student base up a lot more. And last year, Beth decided to go ahead and incorporate the school. And
what is the?
We're in it to win it now.
What is the?
I've got to go get a haircut tomorrow. The news is coming to cover our students. They're having their first student show next Friday. So they're coming by the studio Thursday for some interviews, and then again next Thursday for some student interviews. I need a haircut if I'm going to be on camera.
What is the approximate age of the ones who come to you to start?
Our students range from 7 to 70. Wow. Yeah. The 7 is a bit young for me. I have a posse of 18-year-old girls, and I call them a Mary Shelley coven, because they're all just so brilliant and such a joy. And in my figure drawing class, I have I had 12-year-olds in my figure drawing class. Not 12, I'm sorry, 14-year-olds in my figure drawing class 2 weeks ago.
Do you find
they had seen us doing it and wanted to try, and I'm like, sure, come on in, you know, and they did great. But, you know, I have this one student, Annie Lyles, who is just phenomenal. I know I've been told that I had a lot of talent when I was young. She's 18, and to see her in figure drawing and to watch her draw, it's like she's harboring the spirit of an old master. You know, watching her draw, I can actually see how her mind is working and analyzing the form. And oh boy, it's something else when you have a student with that kind of talent. You feel like you have a responsibility.
Very seldomly do you come across somebody, and you do, as you did, who there's the gift. There's no way around it. They have a gift. Does it need to be developed? Yes, but you know.
Oh yeah, and they need understanding. You know, so many of the struggles that she goes through, I can relate to. She has perfectionist syndrome, which I don't know if you've heard of that. I had to look it up. I was like, what would you call this? And it only occurs with exceptional people. You know, mediocre people can't get perfectionist syndrome. But you see it a lot in musicians, artists, athletes.
It can hold you back in life. It can hold you back.
Yes, and that's why once I identified it with her, we started making steps to address it and get it reined in. And I knew instinctively that figure drawing would be a great way to do that, because you can't really sweat the deadline. You're only going to be here for 2 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes. Do what you can in that amount of time. And it's worked wonders with her. Plus, it's improved her skills. She's drawing figures out of her head now, which is really a goal when you study figure drawing.
That's the next step. The blank piece of paper is the step. The next step is the blank piece of paper. Because my father was very talented, but he had to have something in front of him. He could copy things beautifully, but if you gave my father a blank piece of paper and said, draw something, he wouldn't know what to do. And that's what he used to say, how do you do that? I said, I don't know. I said, it's in my head and it comes out. God, I never could do that. But he was so,
I think that can be cultivated, the ability to do that, especially with someone with talent.
I think you're right.
That can be cultivated. It's just a matter of training.
And a lot of marijuana I found was very helpful.
Oh yeah.
Truth.
Depending on what state you're in, legality.
Did you celebrate Saturday?
I celebrate every day. No, I'm actually I have medical marijuana for a real bad back. So every day is a form of celebration in a way. I
have medical marijuana for a real bad attitude.
That works just as well.
Can we tell the story from MegaCon, Mike?
I guess.
Let's say I gave Mike some candy.
Chocolate.
Candy.
Because he was having his back was bothering him. You know, I said, listen, I got some chocolate for you. But listen, just take a little bit. Take a little bit. Mike, don't listen.
I didn't pay attention.
I walked by the table, and it looks like Barry Windsor Smith is inking this thing. He's putting the hash marks in. It was going for. I was like, Mike, how long you been working on this sketch? He's like, I don't know.
I took about eight times what I should have taken, but I didn't know.
Wait, are you talking about eight times the amount of chocolate you should have taken, or 8 times the amount of time to ink the piece of paper? I'm trying to.
A little bit from column B.
Both.
Yeah, a little both. Yeah.
But it was
that will live in infamy. Live in infamy.
Because he was just. I mean, it was just a black spot on the piece, and he was still just.
I was having a good time.
Yeah, leave him alone. Let him
leave me alone. I was playing.
Oh my God.
Goodness.
It was fun. We had a good time.
Jesus.
But I would like to point out that and we got a couple of announcements to make tonight, but I would like to point out that Craig's commission list is open right now, guys. You can go to 4ccomicart.com and fill out if you would like a piece. And you saw that piece that Ken shared earlier. You can pick a character and get something. I won't say similar to that. I will say quality will be similar to that, but depends on what kind of character you want. But yeah, you can definitely get a piece as of your own that could be just as breathtaking as this one is.
Yeah,
so,
we have some good tiers. You can get a small, affordable piece that will have just as much quality.
Sure.
Or you can send me your tax return, honey, and I will blow your mind.
Yeah,
and then we're gonna not this weekend, but next weekend we'll be in Philly with Mike.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah,
Mike will be doing. And like I said, if anybody wants any of those comics that Ken has, he can bring them to Mike and have him sign them. We can get him slabbed for you if you guys would like, or we can with the sketch cover, he can do a sketch on one of those Robin Lives. We're going to see him in 2 weeks, so we can give all this stuff to him, pick it up. So if anybody wants any of that stuff from Mike too, let us know. I always love to show off my Craig Hamilton pieces. Here's a piece he did for me a couple of years ago, which was just gorgeous. Conan that I had him do for me. Just pencils, but you can see just in pencils the incredible work that Craig. The only reason why
that's for sure.
Yeah. Why don't you get Mike to ink that?
Listen,
I've always wanted Mike to ink me.
Dreams come true.
Yeah,
I'd be happy to. I'm always happy to work with talent, and you, sir, are certainly talent. So I would consider it an honor to do so.
Thank you.
Well, I recognize when somebody is tried and true to fundamentals, as well as instilling their creativity, their styles into it. People used to fight me. People I would teach, tutor. Well, if I learn all the stuff you're trying to show me, it's going to just look just like yours. I said, no. It doesn't work that way. Every guitarist who knows scales, do they all sound the same? When you learn the fundamentals, you can become anything you want. Matter of fact, that's the gateway to becoming anything you want, because you've got the foundation, then you can go anywhere with it, and the foundation is still underneath. Correct?
Exactly. And you're at your best when you're outside of your safety zone.
Yes.
That's something that true artists are always pushing the boundaries of their limits. I certainly try to. And
yes, you've always got to be willing to do something different, or you become stagnant, and it takes the joy out of what you're doing. We're not bankers. We're not hedge fund managers. We're pushing, like you say, pushing. And I'm 67, and I'm going to keep pushing until I can't push anymore, because that's what keeps me young, and that's what gets me excited every day to sit at that goddamn board and do something, because I'm trying to push.
I agree 110%. In the times in my career where I've been miserable, or when I wasn't pushing myself, I was just
going through the motions,
slapping some ink to get a job done.
Yeah.
And it makes me miserable, to the point where when I would come to the desk and work, I would have to cry for a few minutes before I could get started.
Well, I
just knew, that was the end of me working for DC Comics, and there were plenty of times. It's something that made me very unpopular with editors. Is I would get fed up and I would say, I'm done, see y'all, and walk out.
Well, I admire,
and I'm so glad I've always had Mike Kaluta in my corner. I met him when I was he met always taking in the younger artists, me and Dave Stevens, and, throwing his arm around us and showing us the ropes of the survival end of being an artist. And, when you're young, you have all these struggles that you're dealing with, and you need to be the one to deal with them. And these people who aren't artists at all are giving you the most crazy advice. Like, here's an example, concerned friends saying, well, you need to keep a schedule. You need to get up early in the morning and allot your time and work through the day and go to bed early at night. And I'm like, do you even know me? And
I'm going to interrupt you 1 second. You know what Jack Kirby's schedule was? He would start work at 10 o'clock at night and work until 6 in the morning. That was Jack Kirby. Then
those are some great hours right there.
Yeah, he was at peace with a quiet world, no distractions.
I love working at night when the rest of the world is asleep.
Absolutely.
Those are the genius hours, and there's not going to be a lot of distraction. So this was in the 90s, and I was spending some time in New York with Mike Kaluta, and it was when Charlie Vess was living with him. Charlie was working on his paintings for Midsummer Night's Dream at the time.
Mhm.
And Michael was working on the shadow graphic novel, that Hitler's Astrologer. So, I'm just there with two of my heroes who become my friends, and they're working on these amazing projects. And I told Mike, about this kind of flaky advice I was getting about how to schedule my life. And he says, you know what I do? I get up when I'm rested, I go to sleep when I'm tired, and I eat when I'm hungry, and I draw all the time.
That's freedom.
And that is an artist schedule.
That's
You
freedom.
follow that, you're gonna make it. You got to listen to yourself.
No, absolutely. I used to, well, before I had 4 children, I used to work till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and that became a little hard to do when the kids are up in the morning and getting ready for school. But anyway, the freedom of schedule, it helps to have the freedom of mind and thinking. So I totally understand that. Now that the kids are all grown and out of the house, I'm back to doing things exactly when I want to, and the hell with the rest of the world.
Oh, that's glorious. Artists actually need that. They actually, if you can have that in your life, you're going to be a lot more productive.
Well, what makes us stand out but gives us grief most of our lives is that we're nonconformists. We don't want to fit in to categories. We don't want to be typecast. We don't want to fit into molds. Not that you should disrespect people who are comfortable with that, but all my life, I could never fit in a mold. My father always tried to fit me into a mold like he was in. And it just was not something I was comfortable with from the time I was 10, 12 years old. I knew it was not for me to do what he did for a living. I could not do it. And it's a little terrifying when you're 10 or 12 years old and you say, I'm not going to fit into society the way most people do. I can't. I'm going to be too unhappy doing that. And that's a hell of a thing to come to grips with when you're a young fella and it's the truth. I'm sure you went through the same thing. It's like, I can't do
in massive ways. And, and like I said, my students are predominantly 18-year-old girls. So I'm constantly bolstering their sense of self and these very principles. You're here to this is your life. You're here to make yourself happy, and
the thing too,
Instagram can be cruel to these teenage girl artists.
The thing too is you can attest to this and your students can. Did you choose to be an artist or were you chosen to be an artist?
I just was.
Exactly. We didn't choose it.
My mom was incredibly supportive of it. She saw my
I think Craig froze. Like you had a claim while you were talking.
Yeah. So we didn't know if you wanted to do these live or if you just want to kind of do them later.
If I start doing them live, then I'm not going to be able to converse, and I'm having such a good time talking to Craig.
Sure.
So, you can reassure people that I'm extremely reliable with
yes. And like I said, we're going to see Mike in 2 weeks, so we'll make sure we pick him up for you guys. We'll get him out to you.
He wants a bust of Lobo.
Ooh, a Lobo bust.
Okay. Craig's not with us anymore.
He's frozen.
He's frozen.
Frozen in time.
Exactly. But for those of you who don't know, Craig Hamilton drew the one of his most famous things that he did was he worked on the Aquaman miniseries where he drew the stealth suit that was actually in the last movie. Don't ask Craig about the last Aquaman movie. You're not going to like the answer. But they actually used like a stealth suit in the movie, and he basically kind of came up with the design for that suit in that miniseries that he did back in the 80s, which was just gorgeous.
Well, I'm glad you have Craig because I've never met him, but I always really liked his work. So
There you-
I'm telling you right now, I've always liked your work. I remember your first works in the 80s, and you stood out to me as someone who was stylized, but yet fundamentally sound, which that's so important to me. Style without substance means shit to me, to be quite honest.
Agreed.
So,
Agreed.
you know, people say, well, how about Jack Kirby? Who could be more stylized? But if you look at Jack Kirby in the late 50s and early 60s, the guy was so freaking fundamentally sound. He was able to take that and go other places with it because he had the chops. It was there. Jack Kirby knew how to draw. If you look at some of the old rawhide kids with the horses and the towns, holy shit! What a fundamentally sound storyteller and artist that guy was. Yeah, by the late 60s and 70s, he was off on tangential style, but that's all right. He could do that. He was 30 years of doing the fundamentals by that.
And hey, Mike, not to interrupt you, but
Yes.
all we can see while you're talking is your forehead, and it's a beautiful
Oh,
forehead.
that's the best part of me is my forehead, actually. So I'll back off. There you
Oh
go.
no,
We need to see the mustache, man.
Yeah, there you got it. Exactly. You got to have the stash game. It's important.
There you go. There you go. Well, there I am in full,
Yeah.
gruesome glory.
Hey, listen, if you're more comfortable leaning in, you lean in, buddy. We're not. I just,
That's all right. I was getting too relaxed, so don't mind me.
I forgot he was on TV.
Anyway, I'm enjoying talking to you very much, Craig. Not that I don't enjoy these other people, but you know, I think musicians must have these ways with each other, and writers must have these ways. And then you meet another artist, and it's like you both speak Chinese, and now you can speak Chinese to each other, because we just have this instinctive way of just relating immediately. It's an instantly relatable talent.
It truly is, you know, and we're really lucky. And, you know, we've been in the business about the same amount of years. And being it, you know, the fact that we have conventions associated with our jobs the way we do, I'm really keeping my fingers crossed that I'll be able to make it to Heroes this year, because I miss it. I need to hear that din of hundreds of artists at the bar at night. And, you know, we're just so excited to be in the same room with each other, and everybody's chatting about anything and everything under the sun, you know.
Well, artists and writers, not musicians, but artists and writers, we're used to being alone a lot. So when we're not alone, we're like little kids at a birthday party. Yeah. You know, we're all talkative, but yeah, we spend most of our lives alone in a room, you know, maybe listening to music or something, but
and like it that way.
No, and like it, I couldn't not live that way. But when I get out, I like to kick ass. I gotta be totally honest. I like to raise a little hell, because most of my life is just so private and so quiet. So
Jeff has seen me at a convention, especially after I've been through a few drink tickets.
There's a reason why you guys get along so well.
Gotten loosened up now.
Oh yeah, no. It's like I said, I met Craig first time when I was about 17 years old, and that's when I got my. And I to this day, and I tell this to Craig before, he's literally the only piece of artwork that I have ever gotten professionally framed of my entire collection. I have stuff in frames, but I've usually done it myself. So he's the only piece that I have that was done, and I was, all I knew about him was the Aquaman stuff, and I was digging through his portfolio, and I found this incredible Turok the Dinosaur Hunter, and I bought it, and I've had it in my collection since I was 17 years old, and it's still right here, right on the wall next to me. It's one of my prized possessions. So I've been a fan of his for half my life. So
well, I will. I will honestly say, I remember your Aquaman, and it stood out.
that was
Dirty Ken.
that was perfect timing, Ken.
That was
I got
dirty.
one loaded for like a half an hour.
He's just waiting. He's been waiting. He's been sitting on it. Come on.
Say it.
Right. Exactly. Listen, you don't like I said. Hey, Craig wouldn't be a part of the 4C family if it wasn't for the relationship that we've garnered through conventions and stuff. So I'm more than happy to. I will take claim to that nerddom completely.
You're not a nerd. You're not a nerd. We're all nerds then. If you're a nerd, we're all nerds.
Spartacus.
My favorite thing at a convention is when I'm with Bacon, because he gets so angry when there's a nerd. He's like, oh, it's so funny.
I do. Yes, I do.
Well, it's once again we're all sort of kind of throwing stones a little bit in those glass houses.
Oh yeah, it's just fun. It's just fun.
I cannot even remember what they were talking about, but last year at Philly, one was talking to Mike, and it was a solid 45 minutes, and I did everything I could, and I could tell them even Mike was like, all right, it's time to go, bud.
Mike
I
was
could
just mad
not
'cause
get
he
this
was-
guy to leave the table.
I-
Do you
we
remember
drank
that, Mike?
dinner, so he was still hot from that.
Well, there you do run into some overbearing people once in a while at these shows. We have an unveiling.
Oh yeah, we've listened.
Unveiling.
If you haven't seen this,
What?
this is a recreation of a piece that Craig did years ago. It was a pinup, and I believe
37 years ago.
was it a Marvel Fanfare pinup?
Yes.
And he recreated it in color, and it is just gorgeous.
Wow, this is crazy. I just picked up that Marvel Fanfare very recently, like a week ago.
With the infamous Storm story in it.
Wow,
Did
that's weird.
you notice that you did not have to strain at all to make out exactly what was going on in Craig's drawing, because graphic design and value balance is so important, and you could tell when somebody gets it immediately. The value balance, the graphic design, it makes a drawing sing. And that's one of the things I don't like about modern coloring in comics, because they tend to muddy it up. And Craig, if I'm speaking out of turn, let me know.
You're not at all. I'm agreeing with you 110%. I have a handful of digital colorists that I like to work with. And, Laverne Kandinsky and his company were great with helping me be able to color some of my own work, where I could do color guides for them using Prismacolor, which is a traceable system for them.
Mhm.
And they would make perfect digital digital maps from my guides.
Mhm.
So I was able to color several of my own stories. And I agree with you. Some of these colorists just did lack so much. And with the original on that, Doctor Strange and Clea, I put so much into the black and white. It was a very difficult piece to screw up in the coloring. And and I got Petra Scotis to color those pinups, and she understood the assignment. So,
you tell people a 40% brown, a 40% blue, a 40% red, and a 40% green, it's almost the same color.
yeah,
It's the value of that color. You need a 80% blue against a 30% red. And, I'm not saying anything you don't know, but that's what colorists don't seem. It's not just the color, it's the value of the color, which you understand.
Absolutely.
Make sure it works. Since you were holding something up, I'm going to hold something I just did. Did for a fan. They wanted it. They wanted it.
Have you posted that one?
Yes, I think I did.
Okay, yeah, because I think I saw that on your page.
Yeah,
I love it.
Beautiful Raven.
Mm-hmm.
That's me and my trusty watercolor markers.
Awesome.
But
Mike, those are holding up well and not fading.
No, they hold up really well. Well, they're expensive. They're mostly the Japanese ones. So
Good.
I spend, but you know what I do, Craig, is a lot of people I deal with, they don't have a ton of disposable income. So I try to do these 2 or 3 hour drawings for them and try to charge them. You know, I'm not going to charge people Jim Lee prices, first of all, because I'm not Jim Lee, but I appreciate, you know, $100 or $150 is a lot of money to a lot of people. And I try to structure a lot of my commissions that way. So I'm not spending 15 hours on something and I have to charge somebody $1,000. I'd rather spend 2 hours on something and charge them $120 because that's something they could live with and they have a piece of original art. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And I try to do both because, you know, this Dr. Strange Redux here, that's 140 hours.
Wow. Yes.
And, you know, I did it as a piece that has got a lot of history. The original black and white sold at Heritage 3 years ago for $10,200.
Wow.
And, you know, I sold it in the early 90s for $800 maybe.
Yeah.
And, you know, we as the artists, it's a wonderful feeling that your work is worth that. But I was feeling kind of salty about that sale. And then I thought, you know, I don't like feeling salty. It doesn't make me feel good. What makes me feel good is knowing that there's more where that came from.
Exactly.
Absolutely. I still think back to Jim Aparo and we used to split the pages and we had the whole Death in the Family original art. We were selling that stuff for $25 a page.
You don't have any of it left, Mike? None of it?
If I did, would I be talking to you? No, but I mean, Jim Aparo, a few years later, we were like, what the fuck were we, excuse my language, what were we thinking of? Oh my God. But who knew in 1989 that it was going to go through the roof in price? It's I mean, the George Perez pages I got rid of for nothing. Oh my God, the Legion of Superhero pages that you can get $700-800 like nothing. I have none of that left. I had hundreds of those pages, but who knew 35-40 years ago it was going to be worth that? None of us knew that.
I think Al Milgram.
You know, some of us do. You know, there are a lot of artists out there who hang on to their work for
they do.
I still get asked, do you have any Aquaman pages? And I'm like, are you kidding? That has been almost 40 years ago. No, I don't have those.
Yeah, I still get asked. I'm a little, I don't know, not ashamed, but I just wish I had been a little more business savvy because there are people. What did you just mention? Al Milgram, Jeff?
Yeah, he held on. He held on to most of his stuff, and he's now in the last like 2 years been slowly releasing it on Heritage, and letting it come out and reaping the benefits. So I guess he knew something he should have shared with everybody else.
Yeah, where was he 40 years ago? That bastard. Anyway, well, I am in certainly no rush, but you guys tell me when you think it's a wrap. I mean, I'm happy to sit here and chat. I'm enjoying it, but I don't want to.
No, we're having fun. But I did want. We do have an announcement that I wanted to make. I was doing something with. I was going to send something to Ken real quick because I want to make sure we have some examples. But we are having a new commission that's going to show up on the 4C page. We'll make an announcement before we put it up because we still have to do it. But I can give you guys the heads up right now for anybody who's live on the show is that Florin Chavez has finished all of his commissions. They're out. They're back. They're in. They've been out, sent out to everybody. They've received them, which means we're going to open up another list for Florin. So we've got a brand new list we're going to open up. I have some examples. I was trying to get those to Ken, but you gave me too good an opportunity to throw in now before I could send that stuff to Ken. So hold on, let me send. Just want to make sure we have a couple of examples of pictures to show you guys the kind of work that Florin does, and he's going to be doing that. He's only going to offer up 10 spots. He's doing 11 by 17. He'll do single figure, 2-figure, or 3-figure options, guys. The prices on those, and once again, we'll post all this stuff up. But for anybody who's here right now, we're going to be charging it's $230 for a single figure, and these are going to include background too, guys. $285 for 2 characters and $340 for 3 characters. And I sent Ken some examples. He's going to put them up in a second, but his stuff is amazing. I cannot say his praises enough. Everybody who's gotten work from him that we've done over the last couple of years has been completely satisfied. He does live in the Philippines. So, like, for example, this is one that our local fan, Jason Harris, who has gotten, which was a Silver Surfer and Thor. This is a great cable. I mean, just amazing stuff. Very, very Jim Lee, as Mike, just mentioned his name a few minutes ago, kind of reminiscent of his work. And he'll be offering up these pieces, and we're doing that op, and it'll show up on there. Still incredibly affordable prices for the amount of work he puts into these. The time frame is going to be like 6 to 9 months, but it's not saying that he's not going to finish earlier than that. And that's a guarantee on that time. If for some reason he doesn't complete them in that time, then if you want out, you can get out. But the last one ran a little bit long, but every single person that was on that list got an incredible piece of art, and not one person was sad about waiting a little bit of extra time. So for anybody who's here, there you go, Florin Chavez, and we're going to throw that up on the 4C page, and there's only going to be 10 spots, guys. So I suggest if you don't have anything from him, you should jump on it. So let me that'll put a nice little break. I gave Craig and Mike a chance to drink a little bit of water, and, so we get back into their conversation.
Also next Tuesday we're going to have Aranga will be joining us. For
that's right, next Tuesday. Yeah, we got so much stuff going on. Next Tuesday, Aranga is going to be live on the show, so spread the word. Aranga Deva Surrender is going to join us. Going to be doing some sketching and talking and hanging out, and he's always entertaining, and the chat will be full, because there is no shortage of fans of Aranga's work and the man himself. So definitely join us.
What's his wife's name?
Put me on the spot, why don't you?
Yeah, me too.
Where's Bacon when you need
Yeah,
him?
I know. I think he waited for Bacon to leave. Bacon, and I feel so bad that I don't remember it. I am the worst person with names on the face of the earth. Please do not.
You're second. You're second to me.
Listen,
that's why I asked you what her name was.
Well, I mean, the only reason why I know who you are, Mike, is because it says below your picture. That's the only reason why.
Craig went to go find Bacon.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, anyway.
Annika, she's now blacked herself out too. We all feel bad.
There he is.
Yes, Greg.
Well, the second somebody says it, I'm gonna be like, oh my god, how did I forget that?
Is Annika coming back?
She'll be there. She's there. She's just hiding.
She's probably doing something.
Oh, okay. Well, I have a surprise for her.
Uh-oh.
She may just magically arrive back on camera right now if you say that. Jeez.
Yeah.
Annika's always here.
So do you folks want to get me a good scan of Craig's drawing? Because I don't need I don't need to touch the original.
Oh, of the one he wants you to ink? Sure, yeah.
Because I can just light box it and print it.
Oh, the Conan?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh, you would have so much fun with that.
Yeah, I would. Sure. I love Conan.
Yeah, I'll have to get a scan of it and send it over to you, Mike, but I can definitely do that.
Yeah.
There he is.
So that's the beauty now. You don't really need the actual artwork anymore, as long as you get a pretty clear digital scan at a high resolution. So I'd love to. I'd be honored to.
Oh, that's amazing.
I've always thought that you'd be a wonderful inker over my pencils.
Well, I became a better inker as I became a better artist over the years, and I do look back at some of the stuff from the 80s and I cringe, but I think all of us kind of end up doing that at one point. We look back and say, what was I thinking when I did that? But,
I have a few cringe moments. But the stuff in the 90s, I was able to do some Times Past stories with Archie Goodwin kind of giving me safe haven on the Starman book. Mm-hmm. And of course,
Love Starman.
You know, huge debt of gratitude to Steve Lee Aloha. He called me in as a pinch inker because he was on issue 5 of Fables, and I got along with everyone on that book so well that I didn't want to leave, so I didn't. And I started inking the regular book, you know, for stints, and then working on a graphic novel, which was a dream come true. Craig Russell and I had wanted to work on a project together for decades, since the Aquaman series. And we were able to do a graphic novel together in the Fables line, and you know, that was just a joy.
Do you not do conventional comic issues anymore?
No.
Yeah, I haven't done one in a while.
After, you know, looking back on the past 40 years, all the times where comics would really deeply upset me. And, you know, in the 90s, it was that massive Peter Pan project that I worked on for 5 years that Tundra bought from Eclipse, and then Tundra just canceled it when their bubble burst. And it took me another decade to even get my original artwork back on that. And, you know, and then time would pass, and it was like, oh, I miss comics. I'm going to go back to comics. And then comics would tear me a new one. And I'm like, this is an abusive relationship with my career.
It really is.
I've got to stop going back.
It's a love-hate relationship. Absolutely.
Yeah, you know, so I felt like I ended on a good note when I finished out my last contract with Fables, and I was done. And I didn't know what I was going to do next, but I wasn't going to do that anymore. And now it's not even an option. I don't even know how I would get hired to do like an alternate cover for DC or Marvel. I don't know any of these people. They don't know me. They don't want to pay a veteran what they're worth.
No, I laugh.
For the most part, there are a handful of guys who still get work, and more power to them.
Yeah, the Scott Hannas and those types. Yeah.
Well, I'm talking about the good guys that I know, like, you know, Cully Hamner, Dan Panosian. You know, they're able to, and Dave Johnson,
right?
You know, they've got a sweet spot there where they're able to do some work.
Because I occasionally get a fan who, bless their heart, will say, I can't believe with all this going on with the death of Robin that they don't try to get you involved in some Batman comics. I said, these people don't even know who the hell I am, the editors. I have zero chance to do it. Not that I wouldn't even want to, because like you said, they'd offer me $100 a page or something to do it. And I'd be like,
well, yeah, you know, on the last contract I had with working on Fables was for the Werewolves of the Heartland graphic novel. And I had an epiphany on that, you know, my page rate is $85 a page, which was my starting rate in 1987 or 1986 when I did Aquaman.
I know.
Who stays in a career for 30 years and doesn't get a raise, especially after doing good work?
And
it's just not a healthy environment for an artist to be in. And I've always found other things to do. The first time I left, I went and designed T-shirts for a merchandising company and made great money.
Yeah, when you step out of comics,
I'm going to go back to comics.
Yeah, when you step
away
from
will break your heart, kid.
Yeah, you step away from comics and you realize you're kind of an indentured servant in a way.
Yeah,
you know.
Well, and that was another time, you know, during that first time that I ran to Mike Kaluta, you know, to pour out my sob story, and he was just like, "Don't worry about it. Comics will be there."
I remember talking to Dick Ayers many years ago, over 40 years ago. And he said, you know, I used to have to ink 6 or 7 pages a day. I said, why? He says, because I was getting $7 a page.
Jeez.
$7 a page. And Jack Kirby, they thought he was rich because he was getting like $22 a page to pencil. Imagine paying Jack Kirby $22 a page.
Oh yeah. Well, when I was inking on Fables, I was inking this great penciler, Lon Medina, and he lives in South America somewhere.
Right.
And so in South America, he was making great money, but I know that they were not paying him a lot in American dollars.
It's amazing when you think of it. See, but Jack Kirby fooled everybody back then because he might have been making $22 a page, but he was penciling 130 pages a month. So he got even with them, really. Anyway.
I don't want to jump in, but I am curious. Do you think a lot of fans that read the comics like myself even have an inkling of an idea of what the page rates are? And because it's not really talked about. Like, I know how much the athletes I watch make, but I have no idea what goes into the comic books I read.
No, we a lot of us from the 70s and 80s, we had to make our money in bulk. I mean, I didn't really want to ink 50 or 55 pages a month, but I had a family, I had 4 kids, and I had to. And did I have to compromise? Yeah, I did. I had to get 2.5 pages done a day, and I would work 12 hours, but that's what I had to do. And, the idea of I'm going to slave for 2 days over an inked page, I would have been, collecting welfare and not being able to feed my children. You had to make choices, which is kind of why, and this is where people get upset with me, I don't like when people destroy Vinnie Coletta, because Vinnie Coletta did what the company needed him to do. It's common knowledge. Jim Shooter used to tell me, Mike, they'd give the guy 15 pages on Friday and say, we need it back Monday. What the hell did you think he was going to do? You think he was going to do a Wally Wood in 2 days on 15 pages? So I don't look at Vinnie Coletta like a lot of people do, because there were times where I kind of was asked to be a Vinnie Coletta. Mike, the Inkers has the flu. He's not going to be able to work for two weeks. He's so sick. Can you do this issue of whatever in 10 days, a 20-pager in 8 or 10 days? And I take it on to be a good company man. And then you hear later, DeCarlo's a hack. It hurts because that's what I was asked to do, and I did the best I could. And you get called a hack because, Craig, maybe you understand a little bit of what I'm trying to say.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. There's so much, like, people throwing shade and dissing people, and a fan overhears it at a convention, and then they run and tell it, and it gets back to you, and it's something that never even happened.
Yeah.
That kind of insanity is one of the things I do not like about comics.
A couple of years ago, I was at Terrificon, and Dan Jurgens comes up to me, who I worked with many times. He goes, why do you dislike me? I said, what the hell are you talking about? He goes, I hear all this stuff of you bad-mouthing me and you can't stand me. I said, Dan, look at me. I said, I don't know what you're talking about. I've never said a bad word about Dan, ever. He was being told repeatedly that I couldn't stand him. Now, why would somebody do that?
Who was telling him? Editors?
He wouldn't tell me who was hearing it from. I said, Dan, we worked together. We always got along. Why would I hate you and say all this bad crap about you? I said, I don't know who's telling you that, but they're a real piece of you-know-what for doing that.
Yeah.
But, this kind of what you're talking about, this crap from people who aren't in the business. They don't know anybody. I guess that's how they draw attention to themselves and make themselves feel important.
That's exactly what that play is. And, you know, I deciphered that decades ago. And I'm not going to take shade from a tree that doesn't offer fruit.
I like that. Is that
the southern is coming
Georgia?
Oh, Annika, you're back. There's somebody here who wants to meet you.
Oh,
my
This is Gertrude.
oh.
Yeah, she's doing good. She's finally calmed down, and we're going to the vet tomorrow to get her spayed. Yeah, she went into heat last Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
Daddy was not prepared for this. The only other female kid, well, of course, you know, Sammy never went into heat because Sammy dwarfism. And then prior to that, I had a female cat, Jinx, who was already spayed when I got her.
Yeah.
So it was first time dealing with a kitten in heat.
No, thank you.
And it was not pleasant. My baby girl's twerking and meowing and chirping. And
I've had cats all my life. I know exactly what you're talking about.
well, this was my first time with a cat in heat. My cat, you know, and bless her heart. The first day, I don't think she just kept looking at me with this very confused expression, like, "Tell me what's going on," and I'm like,
You're about to find out.
But I made sure she could not leave the house, and I played calming music for her and gave her special attention, which she always gets anyway. I don't know why they told him give him a little extra attention. I'm like, this cat holds my attention 24/7.
Know the feeling.
But I'm so glad she got through it in a few days, and then she was zonked. I don't think she slept for 4 days. I think she was just pacing the floor and twerking. I got a video of her twerking. It was the funniest thing.
Just trying to find that best friend.
I think cats are finally in the last 20 years being discovered, because if you look on YouTube, there's like 8 trillion cat videos now. And I've always been a cat person, and I'm glad to see this newer generation and seems to appreciate cats. And I love dogs. We always had dogs too, but you know, I always loved cats. I never understood. Oh, I hate cats. How could you hate cats? What's there to hate about a cat? I'm sure one of these gentlemen here probably hates cats, right?
I used to, but then I got one, and now like my little buddy, he was here earlier, but he's off terrorizing the older cat right now. But, yeah, Murdoch won me over. I named my cat Murdoch. That was my
cat.
I don't like cats.
Listen, I think cats are like teenagers, and I think the dogs are like toddlers. So cats are like, I want affection. No, that's too much.
Exactly.
You know, it's, you know, a dog, you know, a dog knocks a glass over and it looks at you and it's like, I'm sorry. A cat knocks a glass over like this. He just looks at you and goes.
Dogs are easy. Cats make you try.
I relate to the cat more.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how I am too.
Well,
I'm like, I knocked the glass over. Who gives a shit?
Exactly. Well, we'll see how many glasses you can knock over in the bar in Philly in 2 weeks. There.
No, that's my job. I knock them on to Mike.
Oh,
Yeah, he soaks my pants with whatever.
Don't you think it should be like a tradition that I spill a beer on DeCarlo?
Yeah. That's why I always pack an extra pair of pants when I know you're going to be around, Ken.
Oh my God. Well, this has been an incredibly fun show tonight, guy. I love that when we get two guys on who can just, you know, pick each other's brains, and I'm glad that we got you guys together.
Thank you. It was so nice to visit with you, Mike.
Same here, Craig. I was a long time admirer of your work, and I never met you all these years, and now I'm glad I did, and I get to ink one of your pencils, which
I can't wait. I'm so excited about that. Are you planning on going to Heroes Con?
Is that
that's the Charlotte one?
Charlotte, yeah,
We'll be there.
Be a hero.
That's what I thought. I thought I saw you on the guest list. So
Yep.
Yeah, I'll be
but
there.
fingers crossed I'll be able to make that one. I sure do miss hanging out in person with all the guys and
Oh, man,
gals
yeah.
there. So
Yeah,
We'll have
hope
a
we
good
see you there.
time.
I'm dedicated to have a good time when I leave my home. When I'm home, whatever. But when I leave my home, I'm going to have a good time. So
Awesome.
I know Ken is not adverse to having a good time. That's for
He
sure.
is not. He does not kick a good time out of bed for eating crackers. Let me just say that. But
I think I'm.
unless it wants to get on the floor.
I think I'm
Well,
probably the lamest one in this crew. I'm always in bed by like 9.
that's well, yeah. Well, for in Annika's defense, 9 o'clock's like another 6 hours from now or something. So she's still got all day. to
I
hang
know
out.
it's 4 hours.
I
The
don't know.
sun's
something
still
like that.
out, you know.
But thanks everybody for joining us tonight. It's wonderful talking with these great guys and seeing everybody in the chat. We were having a few issues with Facebook, so we apologize. If anybody claimed earlier on Facebook and you're watching this later going, why didn't they take my claim? For some reason, we aren't seeing the Facebook messages on the side of our screen. We're only seeing the YouTube ones. We'll try and fix that for next week when we've got the man himself, the talent. Aranga D will be on. And please join us for that. And if anybody's going to be in Chicago for C2E2, Ken and I are going to be up there in Chicago with Enid Balam is going to be there, and we're going to be hanging out with him all weekend. And then Ken and Mike DeCarlo will be in Philly with Bacon next week.
I'm going to be in Chicago. I'm going to be
Also,
in
Ron
Chicago
Wilson
with
and
you also.
Russ Crone.
Yeah. And
Right,
Mike, where are you?
We're going
Mike,
to
where are
be
you
doing
gonna be?
Chicago in July, right?
Maybe.
Yeah. Remember, I passed on Terrificon to do Chicago.
August.
Oh, it's August. Okay.
There
Sorry.
you go. Yeah, Fan Expo Chicago for Mike. So,
All right.
but yeah. So thank you guys so much for joining us, and we hope to see you. And come say hi if you're going to be in Chicago this weekend. And if not, we hope to see you here on 4C Live Tuesday nights with Aranga next week. And I want to
Thank you,
thank
Mike.
everybody.
We'll log off.
And
Yeah,
just
everybody
one
who's here,
second,
stay here. But everybody who's there, have a wonderful night. And for everybody, thanks, guys.
and the circumstances of your